The straw poll winner, Congresswoman Bachmann, we just heard from, sharing headlines with more than just Tim Pawlenty this weekend. The Texas Governor Rick Perry stealing some of the spotlight, too, announcing his presidential bid. At the same time, straw poll voters were casting their ballots. Political experts say Bachmann's win is still the story of the day, but already there is talk that a Bachmann-Perry rivalry could be brewing. Joining us now, Democratic consultant Ryan Clayton and former Jeb Bush spokesperson Justin Sayfie. Good to see you both. Justin, let me start with you. Not a lot of time for Congresswoman Bachmann to celebrate her big win in Iowa. Now with Rick Perry on the scene, what does this mean for Bachmann and for the whole GOP field?
Well, for Bachmann, it means that she is now the front runner to win the first in the nation caucus in Iowa next year. And for Rick Perry, the governor of Texas, who just announced yesterday that he's getting into the race, he's going to Iowa tonight. There's a GOP dinner in Waterloo, Iowa tonight. He was scheduled to speak there, and Representative Bachmann decided that she wanted to speak there at that dinner as well. So Iowa is do or die for Michelle Bachmann. She has to win that caucus next year for her campaign to have longevity. And for Rick Perry, he also has to show that he can win Iowa. He did very well yesterday. Even though his name wasn't on the ballot, he got over 700 write-ins votes for his campaign. So I think we're going to see this competition between the two of them accelerate over the coming months.
Ryan, let me ask you, as a Democrat on the outside looking in at all of this, what do you think the Perry candidacy brings to the GOP picture?
Well, Rick Perry's got real problems. You know, he's a former Democrat who previously supported Al Gore in a run for the presidency, which I frankly don't think is going to sit very well with Republican primary voters. And also, you know, a lot of the money in the Republican primary nomination process has already picked a candidate. So it's going to be really hard for him to raise the necessary funds he needs to win the nomination. And furthermore, I think it's kind of irresponsible for the Republican Party to be seriously courting a candidate who's talked about seceding from the Union. You know, that's reckless. Do we really want somebody like that sitting in the office of the United States presidency? I don't think so. Most Americans don't either. But more so, even a folksy talking Texas governor running for president sounds a little bit too familiar. We already had 8 years of President Bush, and he ruined the economy. So I have two words for Rick Perry: too soon.
As we take a look on the left-hand side of the screen, that's the hall where the dinner will be taking place in Waterloo, Iowa later on tonight. A number of the big names in the GOP field will be there, including Rick Perry, who we've been talking about. And Justin, you know, to listen to Ryan, it sounds like Democrats are not too concerned about Rick Perry's entrance into this race. And in fact, there are even a number of conservative Republican groups that have begun to raise some concerns and questions about a Perry candidacy.
Well, look, I don't know. Hearing those Democratic talking points, I think that maybe there's a little bit more fear about Rick Perry amongst the Democrats because he has a very strong job-creating record in the state of Texas. So you can see that they're trying to, the Democrats would like to knock him off his stride before he even gets through his second day on the campaign trail. But having said that, I think that there's you know, you never know how a presidential candidate is going to do until they get into the campaign and they fight for those votes. And I think it's good for the process. I think yesterday was a very bad day for President Obama. We had over 16,000 Republicans motivated. They were out there voting for different candidates. Iowa's a swing state. That's a state that Barack Obama won in 2008 during that presidential election. Republican voters are fired up. We're going to sort out our intramural battles, and we're going to nominate someone who will defeat President Obama. And for all the statistics that were just cited against Rick Perry, the unemployment rate is still over 9%. Yep. And that's something that Barack Obama needs to stop blaming Republicans, Tea Partiers, and George W. Bush for his own record in office.
Ryan, I asked another Democrat on this show yesterday afternoon to name a Republican that that strikes fear in the heart of Democrats. Who out there do you think has the best chance of beating President Obama?
Well, I think an interesting ticket would be, you know, Sarah Palin and Paul Ryan. I think that'd really energize the Republican Party. But if you really want to talk about winning the United States presidency, you need to look at independent voters in America. And I think John Huntsman with maybe a social conservative like Mike Huckabee might be a good choice for the Republican nomination. But right now, they simply don't even have the candidates in the race that can win this thing. You know, Mitt Romney had this huge gaffe the other day where he said corporations are people, and Sarah Palin agreed with that. You know, corporations are not people. You know, they're property, and unions are people, and corporations like, say, Verizon that go out there and make billions of dollars and then don't pay any taxes and then cut their workforce and try and bust their unions. You know, that's not only un-American, that's inhuman.
Justin, let me give you the last word here. I have to ask you, I'd be remiss if I didn't, because you were the co-chair for Tim Pawlenty's campaign in Florida. Where do his supporters, including you, go now? Which candidate?
Well, yeah, thanks, Rick, for the question. You know, I think that a lot of us are going to be talking amongst ourselves. Governor Pawlenty had put together a very strong operation and organization here in Florida. I know those of us who are supporting Governor Pawlenty here in Florida are going to be talking to each other in coming days. I've already started receiving some communications from the other campaigns. I'm in no rush. I want to let the campaign take its course for a little while and then decide who might be the best candidate to take on Barack Obama and defeat him in November of 2012.
Justin Sayfie and Ryan Clayton. Gentlemen, thank you both for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.